So hello and welcome to another episode of Life Under Lockdown, how Catholics are coping with the coronavirus. I'm delighted today to be joined by a local writer, Jane Burns. Welcome, Jane.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you today.
I've obviously been covering a range of various characters across the Catholic world, and it's been mainly religious and priests, but I've also been quite keen to talk to Catholics, lay Catholics as well, like yourself, and particularly yourself because you have quite an inspiring example, and you might want to fill us in the details of that, but you had your own last year challenges medically, and you came through that in a very, very strong and positive way. You actually gave me a lot of optimism following your post as you battled that. So maybe give us a wee background into that story.
It actually goes back further than that. It actually goes back to June 2018 when I had a car crash. And I really did see my life flashing before me, and almost ended up in a telegraph pole. But the car was a write-off, but I was absolutely fine, which I thought was miraculous. And kind of from there, I had to adjust because as a Catholic, I was used to going to Mass every day, and I called myself, with my car, have Mass while travel. And one of the things I liked was actually going around to different churches for daily Mass. And when the car crash happened, that was a big blow to me, faith-wise, in terms of I felt I can't do this anymore. I'm limited to what I could do. I had to get out and start walking again. It was good in the sense I got exercise, and in actual fact, but I was restricted to what I could do. My freedom was restricted because at that point I couldn't afford to buy a car. And having been in the crash, I wasn't absolutely sure I wanted to drive again. Now, to be quite honest, I knew I had an underlying health problem, which I had ignored for quite a long time. So this is a lesson to anyone out there who thinks there's something wrong, is actually not to be afraid and go and get it checked out. And because I felt as though I'd had the miracle with the car crash, I thought I really should go and see about this other thing. I really shouldn't put it off. Having said that, it was another 6 months before I had the courage to go to the doctors, have the examination, and then be referred. And that was in December 2018, so that was a good 6 months after that. And thereafter began my journey through the diagnosis of cancer, the shock of that. And in actual fact, although people did think I dealt with it positively, my family will tell you that, like anybody who gets that diagnosis, I was devastated. I couldn't even say the word cancer. I couldn't say it. I couldn't tell anybody. I come from a big family. I've got 5 sisters and 3 brothers, and we're scattered between various parts of Lanarkshire and the north of England and Lancashire. But the family were absolutely amazing, and literally that carried me through. That and people's prayers carried me through. And when I got the shock diagnosis in February 2019, I couldn't say anything for a few weeks. I didn't want to talk about it. And then I think people's prayers, prayers and faith, suddenly I think to myself, you can't go through this. This is not the way to deal with this. So then I started to deal with it in a different way. But I would say to you that because we've talked about prayer before, and I would say that sometimes it's not your own prayers that carry, it's the prayers of other people. Yeah. And it's amazing for that power of prayer and people thinking about you and praying for you, how that can help you to get through, to just deal with each day and somehow get to the point where you think, right, I can do this, or I'm just going to take this and deal with it each day as it comes. And that kind of took me several weeks to do that. And then different stages, because I had endometrial cancer, which is a cancer of the womb, and it's not a cancer that's talked about a lot. In terms of women, they talk about breast cancer, cervical cancer, and ovarian cancer, but this is one that endometriosis is something that a lot of women suffer from. But we joked, sometimes you have to kind of use humour in a way to relieve the tension, and we joked that, I'm the only one in our family who didn't get married, who didn't have children, and I end up getting this thing, which I would just have associated wrongly with women who'd had children or who'd whatever. So we kind of joked about that. And then a big hurdle for me was the thoughts of losing my hair, because I had to go through a hysterectomy. And then when the 6 weeks recovery period for that was up, I had to start chemotherapy. And that was 4 sessions over 3 months. And then literally when I got to the end of the 3-week cycle for the end of the last chemotherapy, I was straight into radiotherapy.
And how are things now with you? Also, you quite good news recently, but What's the
Yeah,
situation?
yes, I did. I mean, even the operation itself, they thought the operation, they hoped that they'd taken everything away and they hoped that that would be the end of it. But they did take out lymph nodes and they discovered the tiniest of spot, and that meant these treatments of chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
Mm.
And I saw that the 2019 was cancelled, is basically how, in terms of life as I knew it, but not in terms of like being positive or being happy or not being able to do absolutely anything. But I did see, and I was lucky to come through all of that at the middle of September in 2019. And then there was a time when you're recovering from that and you recover from it. And I've been to the consultant twice now and they've been very pleased. But each time you go, for as long as you go for these visits, there's always that worry as you come to the visit, is everything still okay? And then you have to rely on prayer again, and you have to rely on faith and say, they've done a wonderful job. Again, it comes back to what we're all saying just now during the coronavirus about the NHS and the wonderful job they do. And I had my operation in, I think it's the Princess Royal Infirmary in Glasgow, and then had all my cancer treatments throughout the Beatson. And there are just so many people involved in that and helping you through it. And the people I met along the way, John, the people I met, particularly during the radiotherapy where you got to chat to people because you're going every day, 5 days a week for 5 weeks. And the people we met, the different age groups, the different stories, the different inspirations we get from each other. I used to, when I lost, my hair fell out, and that was the thing I was dreading, and I wore my signature thing was turbans and brooches.
I noticed that. I was actually getting excited every day seeing the next turban update. I mean, I'll admit it, I was excited.
I was tempted to put it on because the thing was, this is the natural colour of my hair, but for several years that was not the natural colour of my hair. But I do have natural curls, and for 65 years of my life I had hated them and wanted straight hair. And then when I lost my hair, I thought, everybody said that when you go over chemotherapy, your hair grows in curly regardless of whether it being straight. And I thought, well, mine go in straight. Well, after all this time, will I lament the fact I might not have curls? But hey, I do have curls. But and then I had to embrace the grey hair again. But hey, that's not the worst thing that happens in life.
I think your story is one of hope. I mean, I know you would have struggled. I mean, it's normal to struggle. No one suggested for 1 minute that you didn't have good days and bad days. But I just think the way you handled it, your outlook was positive despite the good days and the bad days, and you had your faith at the heart of it, and you could see that very clearly at the visit of St. Therese. I mean, that was, for me, remarkable. The DVD's out just now, of course, and we're still to get your copy to you, but we'll get your copy. Ryan's got it.
I look forward to it.
But it was remarkable. I felt actually quite emotional seeing you there. We were following St. Therese around Scotland, and to know that you were there in the front row.
Yes, that was an amazing thing, because I really thought I was going to. This is another thing when I talked to you about the car crash and how I couldn't go to Mass the way I wanted to go to Mass. And of course, then there are things, even then, like Masses online that you could go to. And I was also very fortunate to receive communion at home over the period of time I couldn't attend Mass. And so when I knew that St. Jesus was coming, and I just wanted so much to be a part of that, and I thought, I'm going to miss this altogether. And it was actually your good selves who got me to do part of your, what was it, the Novena to St. Therese. And you made me part of that. And I thought, that is wonderful. I'm going to be part of it after all, even if I can't go. And I really didn't think, it was actually my sisters, the twins, whom you know, who said, well, why don't we take you up? When we found out she was coming to St. Teresa's in Muir Hill, and I thought, that is wonderful, if only I could be there. And they said, look, let's go up, let's go and see how you feel. And if you don't feel okay, we'll bring you back home. And of course, as you remember well, because you were part of the journey, and it was later and later and later. We went up about 9 o'clock, and I thought, I was going, I think I was going for radiotherapy the next day, and I said, I'm not going to last this time. And I actually went out for a sleep in their car just to get some energy back for when the relics arrived. And I'm so glad I did, because then I went in and we were down at the front row, and you just felt as though you were part of something really, really spectacular.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And I just think, I can't even imagine it's only almost 6 months away. It just feels like a totally different world we're in just now. From that joy, that emotion, the crowds, we're all separate now. How are you live at home yourself? How are you getting by the day to day. You've also had that terrible experience in the last few
Yeah.
years. Now we've all got this communal challenge of the coronavirus.
Yeah, lockdown. This is lockdown part 2 for me because of the obviously the radiotherapy and the chemotherapy, your immune system is like shot to pieces, and the family were really protective of me the last time and keep people away, and if they had colds they didn't come. And this is different because this time I have 2 sisters who live right next door, one below me and one next door. We have not been in each other's houses. We are taking this really seriously, as everyone has to do. And we haven't been in each other's houses. I haven't been in any of their cars. And we have like meetings out in the garden, and we keep the social distance, and we literally talk to each other from different spaces in the garden. So it's quite hard. But then I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind my own company, but you do miss family coming to visit. I do miss going out to visit people. But we've discovered this is where social media comes into its own, because I'm a technophobe, as you could tell by the beginning of this interview.
Well, Jane managed to get on this interview, so well done.
So you're fortunate. So, but we did a daily texting when I was not well, and everybody was out at work, and the days when life was normal. I started up this daily text on WhatsApp, and I would sort of call in the morning, and then people would send messages, and we've kept that going ever since. So the kind of things we've been doing are we do a daily quiz, and each person in the family has to make up a quiz, put it on at a certain time of day. We're communicating by that on WhatsApp. We've obviously done a couple of Zoom things. You can also chat to people on WhatsApp. So social media has come into its own. And it went back. I was just getting back to getting out to Mass regularly and walking down to Mass on a daily basis. Again, when the lockdown came, it went back to the not getting to services and not getting down to the glass chapel and the grotto and all the things that I love doing. But then again, social media, the positive side of social media, and the fact that priests and parishes have had to invent ways of reaching out to their parishioners. And it's great. I've never been to as many masses and as many parishes online. And me joking, I got to watch them say, by the way, I was at St. Bride's in Boddle today, I was at St. Ignatius in Whittle, or I went to the grotto today, I went to one of the services, and all these wonderful services.
I'll admit that before we'd set up the Carfin masses and was watching them, that I was looking at the very, very early in the lockdown, I was watching a few, and I said, this priest is boring. I'm going to change. And I jumped to another mass. Probably not correct thing to do. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but anyway.
But I went to 3 different masses in the same one because of sound. Because what's happening is, and again, I won't name any parishes, but they started off saying mass at the beginning in maybe wee rooms or whatever, and the sound was fine. Then obviously they wanted people to see the churches because that's what they're used to. But some of these old, absolutely beautiful churches, they echo.
Oh yeah.
Or because of the social distancing and where the cameras are placed, and you'll know all about this, the sound doesn't carry depending on which side of the altar they are or whatever, and so it's sound issues. But it is true. You can go to 3 different masses in 3 different churches all in the one service.
It's hilarious. I find daily joy, particularly over Easter. I find a great amount of joy and positivity amongst this kind of crisis. How are you finding that yourself?
Yeah, I'm finding that people are just generally people are just being like, or you're seeing their kindness. I'm not saying they weren't kind before, but you're just seeing people, even like when we're out, you're walking up and down your own street, and people are speaking and asking if you're okay, and is there anything I can do for you, and it's wonderful. But then people were helpful before, particularly for us. Our estate is quite away from the bus stop, and there's always people offering us lifts to various places and whatever. But you do find that people are more aware of other people. And I think something has happened in the world, and I don't think the world will be the same. And hopefully it'll be all the good things that we're seeing just now that will be the things to come out of it. And there are things like you can create. I had to do this last year. You find your own wee prayer spaces in the day and times in the day, because I wasn't going out where you can say the rosary. Another time you could be doing the 25 Glory Bees, and then obviously there's the time when you can go to mass online. So I think this idea of creating a kind of a prayer routine throughout the day is a great thing, and hopefully I won't lose that when things come back to normal. And I think people are praying more. I think, and Pope Francis himself said it, he says, I find I need to pray more. If the Pope says it, you need to pray more, because we're isolated, sometimes that's all you can do. It's a great thing to do, but you can think, you just stop what you're doing, offer up what you're doing is a prayer for something. So I think more people are thinking about the wee things that we're doing. It's the kind of things that Tress says. It's the wee things, it's the daily things that she had to do, the daily struggles that she had to go through, and offer that up. It's not about huge things. It's not like the kind of huge things that the apostles did when they eventually got over their fear. And then again, there is this fear element. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There is this fear element. You think this is scary biscuits, and you think it's because you and I both know you've had losses, and I've my brother's father-in-law is coming through. He's in intensive care. He's been there for 3 weeks now, but he's making bits of progress each day, and you have to keep praying for that. So we're all being touched by it in terms of the virus itself. But again, there's other things happening to other people. We forget about other illnesses, and I'd lost a friend that I was at uni with, and she died of cancer and she was battling the cancer. She's another very, very positive person. She was battling the cancer, but then it came back with a vengeance, and she then died very quickly. Now she's a lot younger than I am. And of course, if you've been through cancer yourself or through an illness, you think, it makes you feel even more lucky, even more blessed, because that person didn't survive for whatever reason.
It's still a reminder that despite how scary it sounds, coronavirus has a very, very low mortality rate. Again, it's very, very contagious, which is making it very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of signs for hope. Even if you do become unwell with it, you come out of hospital with it.
I think that's it. I think I did see one thing on television where somebody said, look, we're publicising all the deaths, and obviously the government, that's what they do, but we're not publicising the number of people who walk out, the people who come out of ICU, the people who do get home eventually, and it's still a long struggle to get back to a bit like with the cancer. You're struggling, it goes on for a good while after that, and you still have to keep going. But I think they should give people more positive signs about the people who are coming through it, because it's also good. We talk about mental health a lot. We talk about hope, and we talk about strength, and to me it's good for the National Health Service, the people who work in it, to hear the results, to hear people talking about the things that did happen, that did go well, the people that did come through it, the people who did survive, who did go home. Surely they want to hear that being reported as well.
I agree, quite agree, and I think that's a really, really nice, way of thinking about things. You've brought a lot here today, a lot of positivity, a lot of inspiration. Definitely, that's why I was absolutely keen to speak to you about this, because your example and what you've done in the last few years, and the way you've just carried on throughout those good days and bad days, and then this current crisis has been really, really inspiring. So we're hoping that people who watch this, maybe they're on their own, maybe they've got their own health issues, their own fears, will be consoled by your words today, Jane. So thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and thanks for all the work that you do as well, because let's face it, you've done a lot with Sancta Familia Media over the last few years to bring people to faith, and to bring young people, particularly, and people of all ages, and to put it out there basically and say, this is okay. It's cool to be Catholic, John.
Of course it is. I'm not saying I'm cool, but I think there's a lot of Catholics
who are cool. It's cool. But
did you watch that priest last night?
Well, I did. I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, those guys are cool. I mean, I couldn't lace their boots, quite literally.
But I think we should adopt that phrase. I think Catholics do themselves down. Some of the guys jokingly did it in there, talking about being the religious geek and stuff like that, which is possibly is absolutely true. But why shouldn't it be cool to be Catholic? Why not?
I know. I think touching your point you said earlier, I think people are turning back in this crisis. Faith, and I think faith's there for them. I don't think anyone's judging them for that. I think that's great. I think it's fantastic.
No. But even the good points, even the human nature, even the good things about human nature, and the kindness that's there, and the concern for other people that's there, that is being shown in this time. And this ordinary, everyday people, I think the idea too that I saw, there's some wonderful humorous things being online, and you're always looking for something to cheer you up during this sort of difficult days, and when you're on your own and you want to laugh, basically. But it's this idea too. And I've just forgotten what I'm going to say.
Oh, you're right. Don't worry about it. We talk. It's fire away. But it is. I forgot
the point I was going to make.
You find that joy. That's what we're talking about. I've been through quite a tough start of this lockdown, but then now I'm absolutely through it. Over that whole process, and I'm thinking, and it's a strange thing. People say, I'm absolutely happy.
Well, alone is not lonely. It doesn't have to be lonely. And but the thing is, I like my own company. That's why I never get married, never had children. I'm too selfish. But I do like, I mean, I'm in my study at the moment, so this is a place where I do my writing. I've got lots of books I've been reading and trying to get back into some kind of, because I didn't really get into my writing rhythm after the cancer. I want to write the story. I'm going to write a play about it. I'm hoping to make it as upbeat as possible. And but you have to be away from it for a wee bit while in order to look at it objectively and try and do things with it. So I'm trying to do lots of things like that. The one thing I don't talk about doing, which my sisters are always doing, is I don't come on in the daily text in the morning and say I've just done my housework or hung out a couple of washings. That's one thing you won't hear me doing or see me doing on the daily text. But I say their houses are so spick and span. It's not true, but mine isn't.
Well, you get plenty of time. We've got a few weeks to go. So thanks, Jane, for today.
Well, thank you.
We hope that so many people will gain from this. So stay safe, and I hope your recovery and your remission continues.
Thanks very much. You too. Stay well.